Saturday is the biggest day for the Adelaide Motorsport Festival. Not only is it the second day of the rallying for the classics, it also welcomes the first day of the Victoria Park Sprint. In preparing for the event, the park is transformed into a venue of epic proportions. Marquees are built, food stalls prepared, and volunteers arrive in droves. The sprint track itself is a pared-down version of the original 3.8 kilometre Formula One circuit. It includes the centre chicane, Wakefield Road and Pitt Straight. The Victoria Park Sprint is exactly that, a sprint, not a race. It involves 14 cars on track at a time, assembled in a grid on the southern end of the circuit. Cars are released in pairs at roughly 2-second intervals so they can spread out on the track. Vehicles complete between 4 and 10 laps depending on the session. They are timed and an award given to the quickest car of each category. Unlike a race, the sprint is not decided by who passes the finish line first, but instead is a spirited demonstration by being quickest on the track. It's 9 a.m. and crowds begin to pour through the gates to catch a glimpse of the cars on offer. Toward the start of the day is the HQ Kingswood Cup category.
We are in the HQ Holden category, which is basically all just HQ Kingswoods from 71 to 74.
They're 6-cylinder HQs with a 3-speed box, pretty basic car, pretty reliable car. Still quite a good handling car for the year and great cheap form of motorsport to get into at a grassroots level. Yeah.
Judging by the results, the HQs are all pretty consistent. Only 3 seconds separate first and last place, with Ryan and Peter finishing about midfield. The Adelaide Motorsport Festival celebrates nearly every genre of automotive history. Indeed, there's a car for everyone. Slot cars, radio-controlled cars, cars that sell food, and even clothing to be worn in cars.
In the spirit of the event, wearing these clothes, this is what they wore back in the 50s. And even the hat, you know, and my helmet, you know, I've got a helmet. You'd like me to get me the helmet?
Yeah, the helmet, he went and searched online for ages to try and get the helmet.
They wanted to promote the event as something that is sort of more, you know, historic. And, you know, this is where, and this is all FAI, so it's all top of the line, you know, all passed by Snell, but it's historic looking. So with that on, you know, it's meant to give you that feeling of what it was like back in the 50s and 60s.
Meet Porsche Spider owner Rene Falkel. Today, he is racing in the Porsche Centre Adelaide Sprint.
That's a 1960 RSK Porsche. It was probably where all the roots of motorsport started with Porsche, because Porsche started out in hill climbs, and this car here was sort of one of the first to do well in the hill climbs, and that started Porsche out into the world where they are today with all the modern stuff.
By the end of the weekend, Rene manages to achieve 8th fastest lap in the 1960 Porsche Spider. Not bad against the modern day equivalents. One of the most hotly contested categories of the day is the Burson's Bathurst 5-litre V8s.
It's really for historic touring cars, and it's just a way of us being able to get together and get out on the track. And as you've seen, there's some beautiful cars here that well-known drivers have raced in the past.
This one was what Peter Brock drove in '93. Vantage Racing built it. This is the only car they built. That's sort of when Brock come back from Ford, and it's got a lot of history with Brock and Clellan at Bathurst, and wasn't an overly successful car back then because they didn't have a lot of money. But yeah, look, this thing's sat around for nearly 20 years, pretty much in a container in New Zealand. I've resurrected it back to where it is now, and I call it a sympathetic restoration. We tried to keep as much of the originality of the car as we can.
This car was built by Stone Brothers back in 2002. It had a very short life. It raced at Bathurst. It was raced by David Besnard initially, and then jointly with Besnard and Wayne Gardner. So it's got a bit of history that way. But as I said, a short-lived life in the main game series. I haven't changed it too much, but it's got the standard 5-litre V8 supercar engine. As far as gearbox goes, it's still got the H-pattern gearbox rather than the sequential gearbox. It's got all of the nice electronics that some of the newer cars have got, not as advanced.
With the quickest time on track so far, the V8 supercars show just what they're made of. In their category, Troy in Brocky's Commodore comes in fourth.
There's a lot more left in the car than what you could do, but we just want to be there at the end and enjoy the day for what it is and take it home in one piece.
And Chris Murden's second place.
I raced on this circuit many, many years ago, and it's always nice just to get out there. Even though it's short, it's still a lot of fun.
After the break, the Shannon's Classic Adelaide Rally continues with day 2 in the Utter Delights Adelaide Hills.